Hi Libra, this is your April 2024 soul story. If you've got a sun, rising or moon in the sign, you might find some of these messages resonate for you for the month ahead. It's Romy. Appreciate you joining me here on the channel. We're going to open up this month with the energy of the alchemist, the magician. And there is absolutely a reevaluation taking place directly because of the things that come to light through the month ahead. Of course, in Aries season, we are working in that 7th house energy for you. Often the shadow aspects of the self come to light, and we see a lot of chaos around the magician right now, and at the same time he's still able to maintain his focus on that sacred flame. And the fire energy of Aries is helping you to understand what matters and why. Now, astrologically, the skies are lit up with quite dynamic and intense energies, but we open up April with a Mercury retrograde in the sign of Aries, and so there's many pieces from the past that feel necessary for you to revisit. And as he looks upon the writing with the paper here, I feel like there's something written coming through in sort of physical form, so a letter, something that shows up that's going to be really pertinent to the rest of the proceedings throughout the month. It might not appear so straight away, but just wait and see how that unfolds. You're going to dance with this energy in April very differently. And I think you're set to experience a little bit of a 1 step forward, 2 steps back at times, because the slowdown of retrograde is kind of at odds with how Aries wants to work and how this month wants to move you. So, you're going to know where you want to go, and at times it might even feel like it's a little bit outside of your comfort zones, or, there may be limitations or sanctions that you feel are preventing you, but the same time, everything else is sort of pulling you towards it. So likely to feel a little bit of that inner conflict. But at the same time, the more you're challenged, it's like the more clear and the more determined you become. So it's definitely a month where we see an accelerated opportunity for change. And you can feel very motivated and exhilarated by that. Sometimes we just need to be activated in the right way, and the magician is certainly going to help you to do that. Creatively, you're expressing yourself as well, so even though the likely kind of output of the retrograde Mercury can cause communication and conversations to feel a little bit more challenging, I will say to you that what felt random by way of interactions or revelations, there's nothing random about this month. It just feels like everything has been very divinely orchestrated and timed, even though if it doesn't feel like that on your receiving end initially. Now we have the 3 of Swords, and often the things that come to light, and an eclipse season usually in 3s, sometimes can be a little unexpected, and create that sense of triggering in some capacity. It feels to me with the 3 of Swords, it's almost just I often use this phrase with my clients, like you can cut with somebody but don't bleed with them. And it's like you can bring empathy, you can bring compassion, you can have a huge amount of understanding to something, but if you join somebody in their suffering or in their emotional energy that isn't where you are naturally vibrating, then the impact that can have on you is not good for either of you. And I want to say that that coming through here feels important to share with you. You can hold space for somebody, and it may be that what is being brought up or what is in and around you from this kind of pain point is something very valid, and there may be work for you to do or to recognize within yourself. But I also really genuinely feel it might be about somebody else's healing. And of course, we're all inextricably linked to the healing journeys of those that we connect to and that we love and that we are you know, having conscious connections with. So just remember that we can cut with them, don't bleed with them. It feels important. Now, Aries does also want to help heal. We've got Chiron working through the sign. The North Node is trying to get us to a higher understanding in the destiny path. And of course, you know, you as Libra are working with what you need to release on a karmic level. The total solar eclipse coming in on the 8th of the month, 19 degrees, it's going to kind of pack a punch in regards to that. And I feel like something gets sort of cracked open for you. You know, Three of Swords lays everything bare. You know, sort of nowhere to go, nowhere to hide. It's just like, you know, the clarifying truth kind of reverberates out through your experience in April. And even though that can feel intense, there's also at times something really deeply cathartic, because it's now like, okay, you know, we all know where we stand. We know what we're dealing with. We know what it's going to take. And, you know, even if something feels uncomfortable or you're really challenged by the upset that might, you know, ensue, there's also then a clear understanding of a path to healing for you. And I really feel that about this month of April. Sometimes it's hard to make the change because the old behavior still meets a need for us. And I think, you know, that eclipse is wanting something to alter. Magician is helping you to do it. But the task here is to identify and see if there is something differently that you can do to meet that need, or even if it still continues to be something that should be met, you know, maybe it's something to let go of. So I think that's a sort of bigger theme that is underpinning this experience for you. The Six of Swords is taking you forward, and you know, this is what I mean, like we have a clarity of vision and an intention and something that's burning brightly and kind of showing this the way through. And, you know, you need to hear that, because regardless of sort of at moments through the month, how chaotic, how frenetic, how sort of doubtful you start to feel, or insecure even over certain things, as all of the energies kind of gather in a melting pot and feel like they're all at odds with one another, you've definitely got like a line, a thread, a movement forward that's being deeply angelically protected as well, if we see the wings there, and leading you towards something that's very bright and optimistic. I think, you know, we need to remember the more resistance that you have for where you are and how you feel, you know, the longer you're going to stay there. And there is a deep desire within you to move forward and to see the progress in different areas. And April absolutely is delivering on all fronts, because it's set to be one of these months where you enter it and you leave it and life looks very different and you feel very different, okay? Now, as the sun shifts into Taurus, we're going to see this Jupiter conjunct Uranus aspect, a conversation in Taurus that's not been had since 1941. So this is a biggie. It's going to deliver and pack a punch for you. Huge surprises that could impact you on a financial level. Could be something, especially for those of you with spouses in marital situations. There might be something unexpected surfacing around this time. But also remember, with that 8th house being activated, you know, you're set to have like a huge sort of regenerative rebirth in some capacity. And that sort of phoenix rising experience can really set about a new vision quest for you. And I think your King of Wands is going to be particularly helpful to just sort of harness and seize that opportunity. He's going to want to work very quickly. And so you're not going to want to sort of rest on your laurels. It just feels like, again, I want to say something that felt random isn't random. And so immediately you're going to recognize it for something that can be advantageous to you. And, you know, this is where we need to act. We need to move and move quickly. It's interesting because one of the things that they're bringing up right now is around like shifting and changing boundaries. And it, you know, sometimes boundaries can feel like they're hard and difficult and they're painful and they create a lot of resentment because we have to put them in place based on, you know, how people have acted or previous behaviors and things like that. Whereas, you know, this month something's shifting with you. It's almost like this, it's an invitation to allow people to meet you, you know, where you need them to. And it's not hard and fast. It feels a bit more malleable. It feels like, you know, you're no longer triggered in the same way. And so, you know, we can still have these boundaries, but you're just showing up with them in a more evolved and energetically mature approach, and that's making a huge difference. And the reason I say it is because, you know, when we have the input and the influence from this King of Wands in and around that conjunction, which is taking place around the 20th, right? It feels like you're being tested in your boundaries by others as well, as a result of what your intentions or your actions or what just is happening and unfolding for you around that time. So that's why it feels relevant and what's important. And they're also giving me the word grudge. Now, I feel like that's probably pertaining to somebody that you know, you may be or may not be aware of that truth, that someone is or has held a grudge, but there's something coming to light in and around that also feels it can be dissolved, transmuted and moved on from. And you might actually just feel the release of something that has even felt like a psychic attack or recorded energy for some time around then as well. Now on the 21st, we've got the asteroid goddess Juno stationing direct in Virgo. We've been working with this energy retrograde since the 12th of January. It's been in the sign since October of last year, and we talked about how significant, you know, Juno rules over partnerships, 7th house, as you are the ruler of, but also like contracts, agreements. And so we were poring over details and feeling unhappy about, you know, certain things, becoming quite critical about what's no longer working, wanting better terms, wanting to negotiate and improve. And so now we've got an opportunity to kind of fully present that and start to feel our way into what that looks like, negotiating something more beneficial, more fruitful. We've got the star coming in, which I love. The path isn't straightforward. You can see we've got some twists and turns here. But ultimately, the goal is worth going for. It's worth fighting for. And like, there's more of a sort of healing energy that's coming through. And also, this is particularly pertinent when we're dealing with anything connected into that Three of Swords as well. It also shows me that your capacity to be able to, you know, self-soothe, to nurture and nourish yourself, or the situation to be improved as we move toward the end of the month, is also being highlighted to give you a little bit of reassurance and validation that, you know, this is not an energy experience that you're meant to be sitting in for, you know, a long period of time. There's a very fast moving flow in the month of April, despite the retrograde, and Mercury will in fact station direct from the 25th, so keep that in mind. But Juno is here to help you negotiate and bring about more balance and a kind of just outcome to some things. I think you're set to, even if it doesn't get it's not sort of put into place yet, it feels like the agreement is there. So it's like an agreement in principle or something. It's like, you know, yes, we're going to do this, and then, you know, there's certain steps or measures or things that are going to start to flow out that will make that happen. Full moon in Scorpio on the 23rd will absolutely ensure that if anyone is showing up disingenuously, or there's anything that you need to know before you move forward, it will be revealed to you. Huge revelationary month, really. And that full moon in Scorpio also reminding you that, you know, your own capacity, if you like, to constantly like self regenerate. It's just like the rebirth can keep coming. It's just like, no matter how stuck or how limited or how much you feel in a certain identity or a certain pathway in your life, or anything that's kind of causing that stuckness, you know, we've got the light of this full moon illuminating an opportunity for you to show you exactly how you start to entertain, or you start to apply and act with intention towards making a complete change. It's a real overhaul experience, I think, around that full moon. It also has a huge amount of charisma, charm, magnetism, and with the fire energy, Venus and Aries, remember, you know, there's a lot of passion and the tempo rising in the room. Now, April does deliver as a sort of overarching word, like frustration would probably be one of them, just because of the way in which the energies are sort of coming together and how things are flowing. So just check in with yourself and, you know, make sure you know all of the ways that you can work to kind of regulate and redirect, I think, or channel any frustration that might be rising up for you. Four of Staffs suggests like movement in the body is going to be really helpful. I talked about you dancing differently with this energy. There's something as well that feels close to home. And in and around that full moon, It might be something revealed connected to your house, to the places that you work, your living environment, or indeed like the place that you live in the town and such. It's something to do with there's like a realization of what an adjustment that needs to be made. And I don't think you'll even have comprehended like how big a shift this is going to have. And remember, this is also a period of like the declutter, the kind of spring energy in Northern Hemisphere. So streamlining, simplifying. But I do feel like you're going to do that. I feel like there's a simplification that's going to come through and make a huge difference to your well-being, to your ability to ground, to connect, and to feel more at peace within a specific environment in and around that full moon in Scorpio. It also seems to me that where we have intentions around wanting to kind of bring about a little bit more of a solid foundation with which to build upon something, that could be an important relationship, something going on in your work, career, family, home, but it's got that that vibe that as we come toward the end of the month, with everything that's gone on, a lot of water under the bridge, it gives you the ability to revisit something and to do it in a really meaningful way. And you'll be incredibly inspired at that point, Libra, to just say, okay, it's sort of now or never. Like, if we're going to do this, let's do it now. Or if I'm going to do it, let's do it now. And you will follow through with it. Like, I definitely have this kind of very exhilarated energy that's sort of rising through. I think we have the capacity through the course of April as well to see wild changes in regards to prosperity. So opportunities to come in to elevate. You know, there's also the likelihood of things feeling like they take a turn. And you will be given the creative opportunities and situations to then reevaluate, again, think about something that's going to work more favorably for you moving forward. So don't be frightened or scared or, you know, despondent about any of the ways in which things show up and how they might create change in your world. All of it is about kind of shaking things up to move you to a pathway that actually is going to be more growth filled and give you more opportunity to fulfill certain things that I think deep in your heart you might not even be fully aware of, but are certainly piece by piece coming to light. And the retrograde energy is going to be good for that, because you're going to remember a lot of things that you said that you wanted, that you said that you needed. And over time, for whatever reason, one and another, they just became more and more muted. The volume got turned down, or different priorities had to take over. And so sometimes when you find yourself then in a place where everything changes all around you and you've got no choice, then you can return and see all of a sudden where there might be space or a door opening that could create that significant way for you to realize something that's been important to you actually for a lot longer than you maybe even appreciated. So if you are new to the channel, our last 3 cards we use in the extended version of the reading to reveal, and we'll also look at a personal card and a relationship card for you, so you can find the links for that in the comment and description box underneath, Libra. I'm going to go ahead and just clarify and see the direction we will take this reading in for you. This month, the Sacred Soul Support, I've got a guided journey to elevate your prosperity consciousness. And we've also got a guided journey to work with Juno, the asteroid goddess, and see how more effectively we can listen and tune into her wisdom. So you'll find that on romywiser.com. That's also got all my sacred titles, my deck and book, ways to work with me as well. So please do take the time to check it out. Just clarifying here, Queen of Coins, we've got the World, 10 of Wands, we've got another 4 of Wands showing up here, the Hierophant, Hanged Man. Okay, what about this King of Wands, High Priestess, Ace of Swords, Death and Strength, some powerful cards there, 8 of Wands, 7. Okay. All the decks I use are always listed below. Okay, so we're going to have a look at Life Soul Vision. Again, if you're new to my channel, Libra, this is my own deck, so please take a moment to go check it out on the site. We have Energy Conversations, Solstice, Labyrinth of Sweet Surrender, The Gathering, Vortex of Boundless Grace. Eclipse Revelations. Right, I'm just going to take a couple of oracle cards for Libra for the month of April. What do we have? Precognition, psychic ability, future vision. Okay, and astrology card for Libra. The moon. Okay, lots of psychic energy coming up in your reading this month. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you'll come onto the extended. You'll find the links below. Check out all of my sacred titles over on the website, romywiser.com. I will see you again next month. You take good care, Libra. Have a great April.